Massive victory, potentially, for Ryuko coming out of the previous episode. We ended in a draw, right? Like it was a tie. But if we're being honest, huge improvements on her own front with fighting abilities and just in comparison to the previous attempt against Satsuki. So this is big. And victory on the sense of Mikasugi's going to tell us some things that we want to know. So we come out with a W. I would consider it to be that. So now I'm interested to see what he has to drop on us, the lore that he has to, and the things to set up, I guess, where Nudist Speech came from, probably his own reasonings and feelings towards these sort of god robes, and what exactly they're after, why they're doing what they are, what his relationship was to her father as well, is what he was after and what he was trying to, and if there's anything else for us to uncover that have been like kind of hidden and swept under the rug here, almost that nobody seemingly knows about it just yet, and what the plans of action are going forward to go against members like Satsuki and Nui, and to put a stop maybe to that whole family. We will have to see. Lots of questions, lots of excitement. I'm hoping for some big juicy stuff here throughout this, and I don't know if we're gonna get it, but it has all the build up to be that. you can only hope, you know. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you like it, like and subscribe. Not to feel free to stick around for discussion on the comments of this other series. Going with the 16th episode of Kill la Kill. Thank. Okay. Why is he giving us a recap? Oh. We had to fill in the time slot somehow. So we just dragged it out this way. Either that or it's just used more of a, like, remember all this before we tell you the things that, that we need to tell you now. Okay. But just what a weird way to just start. Does make sense that it's even though not at the halfway point. Do it when the story begins, you know? Sick. I wonder if this is the one we're getting, or if they just said screw up budget and the budget for the fight of the OP. Instant heal. You will not go out on your own. Yep. Forcing yourself to fit into something you don't. But a necessary one. Even if her life is on the line. Till the end. You just got our whole place tapped. She's any and everywhere. You think I would want to do this on my own? Didn't get to see it go all out when I tried to fight. The best pilot of them all. That's a good mindset to have, you know? Just because we're on our way back doesn't mean it's over. We just gotta go to war at this point.
そうか、この姿は初めてか。
三木杉先生、露出狂だったんですね。
僕たちは
仲間だね。一緒にすんな。
Do we have room to bring all Mako stuff? It's the biggest bag I've ever seen.
満貫色君、ついてくると君も戦いの渦中に身を投じることになる。
Oh no.
覚悟があるかい？
ありません。
I do not.
だったら帰れ。
No, let her come.
覚悟はありません。そっち。でも私にあるのはリュウコちゃんとずっと友達だという。
So what does that mean, Mako? Come on. Thank you. I love her. Beyond here lies what remains of the base. We're just gonna transition it to backstory.
純血をお脱ぎください。こちらでお預かりします。社長からのご伝言です。
Never mind.
大浴場でお待ちください。
From one water to another. And we will have a nude meeting between mother and daughter. Her rainbow aura. Holy scarring. This is as uncomfortable of a sequence as it can be.
こうして裸になるとたまらなく不安になる。早くこの体を拭くという素晴らしい存在で覆いたくなる。
That it's fair, yeah. So we fight that to strengthen ourselves.
種族はやがて絶滅に至る。
Or I guess not, I don't.
さつきもよく働いた。桐生院の一族として私の後継者として根源なるものを知る時が来た。
Two sides, each learning the same.
こんな空洞が。
でも随分壊れちゃってるね。
弱崩れにしてやられたよ。だがこれで全部ってわけじゃない。
Nice. Couldn't blow this part up. The beach is alive and well, baby.
こっちは無事だ。
No, other members are too. Nice.
君のお父さんのおかげだ。大した科学者だったからね。彼の持っている特許で世界中の企業から金をかき集めていたようだ。その資金でこの組織を作り上げた。
We've been entrusted to take it over.
作ったのはマトイ一博士だ。
Runs in the blood. It's in the family.
そういうんじゃないと思うぞ。
なんでわかったの？私は
維心伝心になってきたな、リュウコ。
あんまり嬉しくないな。
すごい、リュウコちゃん。私の頭の中にも外にもいる友達なんだね。
That's sad but sweet at the same time.
実はどれだけいると思う？
そりゃあ人間だけだろ。
そうだ。
So everyone.
この地球に数ある種の中で我々ホモ・サピエンスだけが服を着る。それはなぜか。人間だけが服を着るんじゃない。服を着た生物が人間になったんだ。生命繊維が類人猿の一種族であったホモ・サピエンスをここまで進化させた。そう、我々人類が服に選ばれたんだよ。
I'm not sure I'm following your logic, brother.
これが根源なるもの。そう。
The hell is this?
すべての始まり。原初生命線。
Ah.
宇宙を放浪するこの光る糸玉が地球に到達した時、人類は服に奉仕する存在となることを宿命づけられた。
So I guess what he said makes sense then.
服となりこの星を覆い尽くす。それがカバーズであり、この世界の誰も逆らうことはできない。我々気流院家は彼らカバーズの意志の代弁者だ。
Let's add to the one of many. Imagine having like this whole ass thing in your home and just never knowing it till this far into life. Also, has such a strong difference in dynamic between the two conversations.
人類の進化を促したのだ。
じゃあ清潔ちゃん宇宙人なの？セーラー服なのに。
そういうことか。
納得すんじゃねえ。なんだそりゃわけわかんねえよ。
黙って話を聞い
Like I'm just supposed to up and believe this now.
生命繊維は宇宙から訪れた生命体だ。
Right.
その星の生物に寄生し、その神経電流を食らって繁殖する。だが直接体内に寄生すると、その負荷に耐えきれず神経が焼き切れてしまう。だから彼らは生物の体を覆うことにした。皮膚から得られる神経電流は微量だが、これなら寄生した生物を殺すことはない。その時期に陸上で一番大脳が発達していたホモ・サピエンスを彼らは宿主に選び、
Would make sense. Definitely would make sense.
他の地球の生物とは比べ物にならないほど脳を発達させた。そして人口を増やし、生態系の頂点に立った。だがそれは生命繊維によって
Or just giving life to something that shouldn't have.
人間は奴ら生命線維の餌だってことだ。
そんな。じゃあ私も竜子を。
落ち着け鮮血。
He also doesn't even know where he comes from.
だったらなんで全部の服に生命繊維が入ってね。
人類の進化を促した生命繊維は人類に服を着る習慣だけを残して長い沈黙に入ったとしか考えられない。彼らが沈黙を破ったのは20年ほど前だ。
As a result of the family.
原初生命繊維と接触し、彼らは
So we have that's what that okay.
そうマトイ博士から聞いている。
私は竜子が育つのを待っていたのか。竜子の血が必要なのはそういうことなのか。
だから落ち着けって。
Sounds a little weird when you say it like that.
だったら伝えてくれ。竜子くんと鮮血は我々の希望だ。
希望？
そうだ。そのカムイ鮮血は生命繊維と戦うために
Put a stop to it. Okay. Now that makes sense.
カムイを着こなせるのは竜子くんしかいない。
Alright, you're the only one who withstands this.
でもなぜ？
君は生命繊維に非常に強い耐性がある。おそらくマトイ博士はそれを知って
I still am confused on Satsuki's family.
気流院の野望を止めるために。博士はもともと気流院ラ行の命で生命繊維を研究していたのだ。だがその恐ろしさを知って
Right, I feel like that's a natural.
組織を作った。それは我々ヌーディストビーチだ。
That's what we stand for.
マトイ博士が私を
What a guy. You sure it wasn't what Mako was imagining? Like, you sure?
地下室で私は生まれた。
So you just remember this now.
眠らされた。半年後、竜子が訪れるまでずっと。
Yeah, pretty close to his end. Nobody will find you under this if I cover you.
君が鮮血の力を自由に引き出せるようになるまでは全てを話すことはできなかったんだ。
私が生命繊維の力に飲み込まれたら、その時は容赦なく始末しようとしてたしな。
Right, it's everything that I stand against. I mean, welcome to the team, brother. I finally bought in.
気流院ラギオが社長を務めるリボックス社の服は世界中のほとんどの国で着られている。その服のすべてに生命繊維が織り込まれている。
And that's why they're trying to control the market for that.
それらの服が目覚めた時何が起こるか予想もつかない
And is there a way for them to just simply awaken them?
人類にとって大いなる脅威になるということ
Yeah.
は間違いない
That's definitely a scary thing, because you can't just go up and get rid of it while everybody else is wearing, you know?
本能寺学園実験都市も次の段階に進められるな。
This is at the final stage, though.
もう完成しております
The stadium.
準備は整い
The festival. Okay.
いいだろう。計画も最終段階。
It is the final. Alright.
大文化体育祭を実施しなさい。
Naturally. Look at they're turning such, like, stupid things into epic, like...
どうする？
久しぶりの自宅です今日は泊まっていきます
そっか。クロイド、よろしく頼む。お前
Ew. What a smile.
どれほどのものか楽しみにしているよ。歓迎します。お母様。
What exactly do you mean by that? Mako asked one question when we started, and she's been asleep ever since. Just fill in the gap. They didn't have enough content. Think so.
私と先決、手に手を取って人類の平和のために戦えってことだ。
Basically, yeah. Yeah.
ふざけんな。
Yeah, I wouldn't be too thrilled about that either.
ただの兵器か。戦うために作られた戦闘服か。
Hey, you just came around to the idea that he's a being, alright?
こいつの意志があるんだ。仲間殺しのために生まれたなんて。それじゃあ先決があんまりかわいそうじゃねえか。何をする？ヌーディストビーチだろ。裸になって何が悪い。
Because that's the hope and savior right there.
使う必要もない。
What is your intent behind this?
いいことを教えてやろう。一つ、戦わないカムイに存在価値はない。二つ、なら俺は今すぐそいつを始末する。
やるなら私をやってからにしな。
上等だ。
Okay, but we need to hear your alternative here. I love him so much.
怖いよ怖いよまずいまずいねここはお菓子食べて落ち着こう
Great plan.
お土産を拝食まずいよこのお菓子もまずいよ
I love a QED dedicated to to Mako. Big reveals as we blow the story open to fully understand, I guess, all the 15 episodes prior and the build up to it, and what makes the clothing and everything amongst it what it actually is, I guess. And it adds layers to, I guess, the overall goofiness and explanation for majority of the things that are done and said leading up to this point in regarding to fan service stuff, or the use of clothing and the type of outfits and the things that get created within these god robes and everything too. So it definitely applies a lot more context in relation to that. The entirety of the episode isn't like this huge thing that's like going to be something where I'm going to sit here right now and talk for like 50 minutes to like really break down and get in between. It's rather simplistic where it comes from, but I will say the main thing and the takeaway I have from this, something that we've come into this episode with, at least myself, and what I talked about in the last episode, is my feelings towards, I don't think I'm like gripped into the story and exactly where we're coming from. And nothing about it outside of the characters, the entertainment, like everything besides the story factor is really good. And I just don't really have a strong caring for it yet. And I was hoping this episode provided that. I will say, I don't think this episode provides that at all, but I will say, I think it clarifies some of the feelings that I had. And it alters a little bit of the way that I felt, where I'm not angry of where we're going. I'm not disappointed in the direction that we are headed anymore. I do wish that there was a little bit more and more intrigue and something that personally connected or grabbed me. But at the same time, I don't think that it's a terrible idea. And I think it's rather fun, like extremely fun, actually, to take something that doesn't have like a life form really in any way, that you don't really think about, and it's just an everyday item that you've grown accustomed to within your general life within clothing itself, and to turn that into something that is the primary reason overall for this evolution, for your being and where you've even come to, and who you are as a person today. It doesn't affect us because of course we don't have to view it in that sort of light, but for them to, I think is a really fun way to flip everything that we've built up to on its head almost, and make so much more sense of it. And it's just fun. It's something that we did in previous episodes that I've talked about. It's giving life to objects and things that you typically, won't and aren't. And it's something that Ryuka's slowly come around to, and especially in this episode with her strong determinations to be against the idea of utilizing something that we would view typically as a object or just this piece of cloth in a way of Sengetsu as an actual person and a being who has a mind and who has thoughts and actually is something and is capable of things, and take that and have an issue with forcibly making something like that fight and only be utilized for that. I think it's fun to just take objects like that and turn them into more than that, to turn them into beings, to give them life. And I think it does a really excellent job. It fits the general nature of like the overall style, like comedic style, I guess, that they go into within the series itself, and flipping things in a way that gives that exaggeration and silliness almost to where we're headed plot wise, while having all the characters who are, fit all those characteristics that I named into being things into being things that are like actually just taking this extremely serious and caring for this and fully buying in and believing the stories and the things that they're told, which has to make us believe it in a way, but also maybe not take it as serious and be like, what the hell are we doing here, But at the same time, it is the actual world that they live in the story, and I don't know. I think it's fun overall. It's not something I'm like gonna sit here and think about like when I end recording here, right? Like I'm not gonna go and I'm not gonna be thinking about like, damn, that was really cool how they did that. That was so awesome, and I'm thinking about like ways that they can bring the story and stuff. But it's something that when we are here, I'm not angry if that's how they want to explain things and how they want to drive the story down the final stretch here. I think it makes a lot of sense, and it was definitely well constructed, a lot more than I think I was anticipating us to overall come into here. So I'm not mad. I'm not mad on that front. I think the dynamic of telling the two sides of it from each of the standpoints of Camp Ryuko and Camp Satsuki, basically, to have each of them get their own side of like family history and God robe and life fiber history and stuff. Some of it like interconnecting between the two, and some of it being so disassociated that like neither of them are aware of where the other one's kind of coming from or what's happening within their own situation and conversations, but being able to get them at the same time and play back and forth almost between them, and having strong dynamic differences between like Satsuki taking things extremely serious and the tension between like her and her mom, basically, to having the goofiness and like just overall silliness between everybody at Nudist Beach, I think was really fun too. And just a clever way for them to go in and out and really expand on this stuff and not make it feel like it's so boring or just like tedious for us to have to get through. So good stuff overall on that part. Other key things, Satsuki is gonna be, it seems like she's just following in the footsteps of what her mom kind of wants her to be. I'm assuming the scarring and the things that we see within her back is indications of somebody who has tried to take over and do what she's probably like trusting into Satsuki here in the past, and has taken like physical and actual scarring and damage from it long term here. And she's trying to entrust this into her daughter now and build her up to somebody that is capable of understanding and living out this dream that almost they have. But I do get the feeling, especially with the end lines that Satsuki had, that she is viewing things in an entire different way. She is following her, still just trying to live up to these sort of expectations and feelings. Almost feels like she can't like go against and defy her. But I do believe that she has a standpoint on this that I don't know where to get that read of. I don't think it's the same as her mom, and she wants full control for herself and wants her out of the picture or anything. But I don't think it's the same as like Ryuko or anything. And she's just going along with emotions until like she pulls a fast one last minute. I think she falls in the middle somewhere, and I don't know exactly what that is or what it will be. I'm excited to learn that. That's like a really intriguing thing. Now, they might not go that way because she's been a tricky one for me to get. I felt like I had a read on her, and then the recent episodes, they keep blowing it open and showing that that's not the case. So maybe she does fall in line with one of those two, but I feel like she might find herself in the middle ground a little bit there, and it might be a little bit different. So I don't really know. And then the other real big one, in my opinion, just comes from Ryuko at the end being like so against this sort of idea, especially with her newfound friendship and understanding of who Sengetsu is and what his being actually is, to utilize him as a weapon to kind of put a stop to all of this, even if it means like killing or damaging him, like in that process, have his sole purpose and creation before that. She's something that she can't really stand for, now growing this bond with him, which is a typical thing. I think that like you typically come across, you hate that idea. It's something that works a lot within sci-fi sort of stuff, things where you have like AI, like robots, artificial intelligence, like all that sort of stuff. And once again, we get that here where it's something that is solely created for the purpose of like war and destruction and all of these things, and to take it out and try and act like it's something that it actually isn't and treat it in that sort of way is looked down upon or looked at as weird by everybody else around you, just wrong to begin with. So she's the one who's like standing on that moral high ground of like, this is a person who is a being and has a life, and we must treat it as that sort of thing. And it's going to be like a complex thing, I think, for her to kind of like juggle between and work through. But I do think that the general connection that we've showcased between the two of them up to this point, and the understanding of where each of them are kind of coming from and what they want to achieve and what they want to do, will probably strike a middle ground where he is plenty okay with being utilized for this, but she'll operate and do things in a way that she doesn't get too overcome by him, and at the same time like doesn't damage or do things too much that'll allow him to live on, come past whatever it is they have to do. I don't know exactly what, but I do feel like we'll reach that ground at some point. But it is solid reasoning for her to stand on, so it's not like I'm not gonna getting mad about that. Typically, it's just like, come on, you're just prolonging what's gonna happen, which is true. But at the same time, it definitely is solid ground to stand on, especially for people who don't have that sort of relationship or understanding of him, that they can't really come around to it either, and just believe that they are leading you on the right path and that you're going to fall in line with it when you have a complete different relationship and feelings towards this than they do. So I like at least that she's willing to be expressive and express her mind here to them about it. Recap at the beginning's fun. It felt, at least to me, pretty clear that this episode was something where they had a plan for what they want to express, and then they ran out of, like, they needed to fill the gap. They couldn't just do a short episode, and they had to like fill in a time slot. So they created a recap here, which also could not be the case. But I feel like the recap here, and then also the scene at the end with Mako falling asleep like 4 times in a row, just like really padded out what didn't need to be there, right? So it definitely is something I think along those lines. But I do like that it was very short for what it was, and we crammed everything into this. It works well, and we don't have to stress too much about like the whole episode being that. And at first I was like, damn, I really just gonna have like a full filler episode I wasn't aware of? I assume somebody would have told me if that was the case. The changing of outfits and everything within the OP is really fun. The fight sequence here is pretty sick. I'm excited to maybe get that exact fight with some of that animation. If not, and it's just for the OP, it is what it is. But I am excited for that. Satsuki getting destroyed and just too overtaken by this uniform, but knowing that she has something that she needs to do and she can't back down from. Nui taking over the plane. She's the weird one. I still can't get a full read on what exactly she's after and what her being here is. Really outside of just operating under Satsuki's mother. So there might be more to it, but I can't really get that full read on it. I guess we're just going to have to wait her out a little bit more and see if we expand on that a little bit. Getting Mako on board is nice. This is our friend. She won't go full on, but she'll join us in some sort of way. And we find what remains. This is a really fun transition. I thought they were going to transition into like the underwater like area of what Nudist Beach still had remaining, but instead transition into this sequence between Satsuki and her mother is great. This is a little much. I don't really understand her whole purification and being very weird with her daughter like this is for. I can't really even chalk it up to like this makes sense within the story. Also her saying like that, what was it? The general instincts and those who kind of like defy it will fall into ruin. I don't understand, because I felt like the whole idea of what we were building up was that you do want to defy like the general instincts of like feeling uncomfortable and like doing all these things in this sort of scenario, and you want to just like put up with it and deal with it and like get to be able to overcome these things so that you don't fall into that trap. But she views it the other way. So I'm a little off on that. Maybe my understanding of it is wrong, and I'll understand it more in my edit and rewatch. But we'll have to end up seeing. And then both sides just kind of explain things. A whole place from Nudist Beach, which is nice. We get to learn a little bit about her dad being the one who created this, falling in line with Satsuki's family, and, you know, learning the secrets from the inside and taking it and trying to do his own to fight against it. Typical things that happen. You know, somebody from the inside learns about a bunch of secrets and things that aren't supposed to be public knowledge and starts operating a little bit on their own. That happens a lot within like work and stuff like that too. Like you'll have like financial scenarios where you have clients and things like that, and people take them on, and then they're like, I could just do this on my own, and on the side start doing things and then ramping it up more and more until they get like caught or found, and things can go bad for them. Chalking it down to the clothing being full on evolution and stuff, and utilizing this as like the first and original life fiber and stuff is fun. This falls in line with a lot of earlier like pre-2010 shows and stuff that I feel like I've watched before that explore these general ideas. It is fun that we have sole possession of this, and we're going to utilize this in some way. And it is really scary to note that like all the clothing within the world that we are manufacturing, creating while being dormant can be reawakened in some way here, and nobody else is fully aware of that, unless you're like, you know, one of Satsuki's family members here. So it's a scary thing, because you can't just utilize the concept of Ryuka's going to go out of her way and she's going to save everybody and like rip all this up, and we're going to like manufacture new stuff, and we're not going to have to worry about this, right? Like that's not an option. I'm assuming the only option is to destroy the original life fiber, or like whatever it could be that would reawaken these other things. But even then, having pieces of it still out there, regardless of dormant or not, might be a negative. That could be something that could be reattached and utilized at some point. So how they're going to like operate and maneuver around this is going to be really fun. I love Mako's like freaking out and being like aliens and turning into all these different creatures is super fun. Good visualization of this, and it works well for what Nudist Beach actually is, and being, you know, those who like kind of almost defy that and refuse to like wear the clothing and like do all of this because of the general fear of, you know, being overtaken or something at any cost without them necessarily realizing that. Reason for why him and Sengetsu have been kind of, or Riko and Sengetsu have been growing so close together, and the affinity that they have for each other. This is why I was created. I remember it clear as day, where they're just hidden underneath the sheets. It is the absolute truth, an absolute threat to mankind that we must overcome. And the sports festival and everything's being set up. Like I said, I think Satsuki has some other plans for what she wants to do, and Ryuka's completely against this and utilizing him as a sort of weapon. Way to rebel is to not wear it, but we do have problems because we can't put up with that and have the existence of something that nobody else will wear. Fun ED. I like that getting the full Mako stuff here. I think is really cute, and all the different ones that they have. That's going to be all from me. Sorry if I sped through it a little bit. I'm a little short on time tonight. I just want to make sure I get it through, but I don't think there's too much more that I really wanted to grab onto. They explain things in a nice enough way, and I'm not angry at it at all. And I'm just excited to see what kind of wacky stuff we get up to and what the overall plan is to overtake this, and how exactly Satsuki's going to fit into this, where I think that she might hold that middle ground is the thing I'm really excited to see unfold. So hopefully you enjoyed, though. If you liked it, I'd like and subscribe down to me. Feel free to check out the channel. My comments of this sort of series will be out for episode 17 very soon. It was a fantastic